I am a reflection of you, and you are a reflection of me. The challenge is to see us as one, to have compassion and care for anyone whose human rights are violated, so we may right the wrongs of our society once and for all. It's not a matter of black and white, it's a matter of right and wrong. We adults are responsible for who our children become. When a large population of our children say that all they want in life is to be rich, we must ask ourselves, what happened? What happened to our humanity, to our compassion? What brought us to a place of individualism, where personal wealth and gain are favored over collective rights and well-being? Even today, we have young, unarmed black citizens brutalized, shot, and even killed by police officers under questionable circumstances. We have Muslims whose religions are synonymous with terrorism when we know it is a religion of peace. We have women and men, girls and boys, coming forth with testimonies of sexual assaults. We have witnessed the judicial response to protests by the people continue to be a string of grand jury non-indictments and acquittals. However, as protesters, there's a segment of young leaders who are following in the steps of Dr. King, who are expressing discontent and demanding change with skillful use of social media to rapidly organize and educate the masses on important human rights issues. I think it's also important to understand that just because one has tweeted a social hashtag does not make you an activist or a social change agent. And so what I learned from the civil rights movement is that people came together with their voices. They had discussions. They had check marks for accomplishing goals first and foremost. Dr. King sought solutions. My father sought solutions. He continuously counseled smart action, cautioning against false moves and the folly of running in place thinking one is making progress when the problem still exists 50 years later. And so it's important that we take the time to understand our history and look to the generations of young leaders like Dr. King and nameless young people and continue the legacy of dynamic leadership. When young people were demonstrating, marches and protests, for example, wanting to integrate restaurants and schools, housing, my father came along and said, "We demand our human rights as your brother." He said, "We demand our human rights ordained by God." Yes, he was a fearless man because he served God. He feared that on Judgment Day, the Lord would ask, "What did you do with your life? How have you honored me? How have you honored your brothers and sisters?" Well, Malcolm redefined the American civil rights movement to include a human rights agenda. He circled the globe tirelessly in search of solutions to the human condition that would oppress its fellow brother, sister, and children because of their melanin and their skin. The truth of our culture matters. The truth of our significant contribution to world history matters. And this is not to say that other lives don't matter. It says that we are a miseducated nation. We must prepare future leaders to answer the call to leadership, to give 110% and fulfill a more purpose-driven life. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. And if we look at our children and we have any complaints about them, it is our fault. So if we want our children to be better, we have to do better.